Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder here with another Reddit story for you. We got another one of these. Spicy story. Title of this one is, Am I the Astronaut for telling my sister's fiancé that she is infertile? Oh shit. I will try to keep this as simple as possible. My 26 male, sister Emma 29 female, was very sick in high school. Her choice was either to die young or to be able to conceive children. It was a hard decision for her and she doesn't like to talk about it. She's been dating Adam, 29 male, for about 6 years and he is really nice. The whole family loves him. He proposed to her last year and they were planning to marry in March of next year, but here's the problem. Adam really wants kids. He always plays around with our little cousins at family events and talks about what he wants to do and teaches future children. We always thought that they were just going to be adopting, so he never brought it up. But since the engagement, I have noticed that he always talks about them as their children, as in biological. Just because he says they're kids doesn't mean that it's biological, right? I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't seem like they were going to adopt a child. Okay, there's some context clues. Didn't seem like it. After thinking about it for a while, I decided to talk with Emma about it. I asked her out and gently brought up the topic. She did seem a bit angry about my mentioning it, but explained to me that Adam treats adoption the same as giving birth and that he is happy all the same. It sounded believable, but I know my sister, she was lying. During the entire conversation, she could not look me in the eye. After a month, I finally decided to talk to Adam. This Sunday, we were gathered at my parents' house for dinner, and while everybody was busy and we were alone, I asked Adam how the adoption proceedings were going. Were they going to start now or after they got married? He looked surprised and asked me what I was talking about. I mentioned how he wants many kids, so they should probably be starting with the whole process early. He asked me if Emma wants to adopt a child because they had never talked about it. Oh no. Since my parents were coming back, I asked him to talk to me later. Around the end of the dinner, I asked him for some help with my phone and led him to the balcony, and I was honest with him. I asked him if he knew that Emma couldn't have children. At first, he thought I was joking, but when he saw that I was serious, he got this dead look on his face. I told him some of the details and said that it would probably be best if he talked with Emma for the full story. He was quiet for the rest of the evening. When they got home, they apparently got into a major fight. I know that he is currently staying with friends and asked for the ring back, but nothing else. Emma hates me, and our parents are mostly on her side and think that I shouldn't have said anything. I thought I was doing the right thing. This is such a huge secret to keep from your future partner, but maybe it really wasn't my place to say anything. Well, OP, like now's a hell of a time to be like, maybe it wasn't my place. You've already done it. I understand he thought he was doing the right thing, like saving his sister's fiance from future pain. It really wasn't his place. It really wasn't his place. Now, if you're gonna confront somebody, that confrontation needs to happen with the sister. It needs to happen maybe as an enhancement, like a step 2 would be parents plus sister, and be like, hey, I feel like you're not being truthful here. Have you told him? Before you step into this, you're going to be tricking somebody into marrying you and hiding the truth from them if you don't come clean about this. Are you 100% telling the truth that he knows about this? But it's not his business to get involved. It's not his business to pull somebody aside and say, hey, you're being lied to. Or is it? No, starting a marriage on a lie would be, it's terrible. She shouldn't do what she did. Does that excuse him doing what he did? Do 2 wrongs make a right here? ESH, but sister has asked on 1 for not being honest. That's so selfish and a horrible thing to do. He did need to know. I would want to know too. Who's Tony Holfeld? I'm just kidding. Tony Spark on the YouTube side said it wasn't his place to say anything for sure, but he also lied to OP. But she also lied to OP and has been lying to her fiance as well. In my opinion, she is higher on the ASCON scale than OP. I agree with you. What she is doing is an ASCON 1 thing. I'm sure there's a great amount of shame with what she's dealing with here, and maybe it's a denial. I'm sure she struggles with her infertility all the time, and it's not an easy thing to get through. And medically, getting there medically because of a life-threatening situation, I'm sure is even harder to deal with. But deceiving a person that you're supposed to love and a person that you are saying you want to do life with as a team for the rest of your life ain't the play. What she is doing is much, much worse. However, that's not the question here. The question is not on her behavior, whether she did the right thing or not. It is, am I the astronaut for telling my sister's fiance that she's infertile? So it's the brother. Is the brother an asshole for jumping in and telling the truth? Somebody had to do it if it wasn't going to be her. So since it was him, was it still an asshole thing to do? And keep this in mind. It can be a net positive and still be an asshole thing to do. So maybe this was a justified asshole. blame him for it, let him think he had the infertility issues. Gracie, we've read stories like that. It would lead to a life of pain for both of them. So yes, he's preventing that. He's saving it, but still, this might be a justified asshole thing for me. And really, I think his approach should have been different here. So it's not a definitely shouldn't have done it. For me, it's a should have done it differently. Because I think if you're escalating this thing, you had the conversation with her, you thought she was lying. You didn't press the fact that you thought she was lying, though. You didn't say, hey, I know you're lying. Come clean to me right now. And confront her about it and force it out of her. And if that didn't work, get the parents involved and say, hey, I'm pretty sure she's lying. And I feel like he's getting ready to get trapped in this situation that he doesn't understand, and then have an intervention there. And if that doesn't work, then talk to him. So it's just for me, should have done it a little bit differently. But what she did is, yes, it's terrible. And I'm sure she's got a great amount of shame that it's a conversation that she doesn't know how to have. But maybe that's the conversation, again, going back to therapy or counseling. Maybe that's something you don't have to do alone. But it's absolutely something that your partner for the rest of your life needs to know about ahead of time. Or you can expect nothing but them to leave when they do find out. If you trick them into getting married by hiding this, it's terrible. I think it's justified assholery. The order of things should have happened differently in my mind. And you say she had 6 years for this conversation. If OP, how long have they been engaged? He proposed to her last year. So OP has had a year to have these confrontations here too. The time, I don't feel like time is a big issue. She's a bigger asshole for holding on to it for that long. Yes, no doubt. No doubt. I don't think OP isn't an asshole, but it's a justified asshole. And if there were other options to play this out a different way, that would have been less of an intrusion or less of an asshole move on OP's part. Aof says you never reveal medical info unless it's life-threatening for the person you can tell. So this gets complicated on many levels, right? But again, if he had pressed sister for this and said, I know you're lying, and then gotten the parents involved, I think it would have been, all of that could have been avoided here as well. If anything, you let the parents have an intervention with him there, or the both of them there, or you're there with parents and with the two of them and say, we're going to air this out right now and make sure everybody's on the same page and starting this marriage off on the right foot.